In today's Oldhammered retrospective, we travel back to the mid-1980s and beyond to explore the bizarre zoological origins of Citadel Miniatures' early metal Beastmen. Well, hi folks, and welcome to the Oldhammered YouTube channel. I'm Lee, I'm your Oldhammered host, and today we're traveling back to the wild and woolly 1980s to meet a tribe of vintage Citadel Beastmen, which you can see here flanking a more contemporary Warhammer Fantasy Gor. That's our friend William H. Goat Esquire, and I think he's from around 2009 or thereabouts. GW's modern plastic Gor-Kin, for the most part, rock the classic cloven hoof and goat horn look, while their early metal predecessors were more of an Island of Dr. Moreau-style menagerie with many different human-animal hybrids being represented. As you can see, these early Beastmen are a bit runty compared to the robust frame of William H. Goat, who is significantly taller than his 1980s 25mm ancestors. We'll take a closer look at these classic Citadel Beastmen in a minute, but first, let's investigate the Oldhammer origins of these crazy metal manimals. We'll begin with the second Citadel Compendium from way back in 1984. The Compendium was an annual publication that served as both a Citadel catalog and as a guide to assembling, painting, and gaming with Citadel Miniatures. Citadel, which was either owned by or part of Games Workshop at this point, was the publisher of Warhammer, the mass combat fantasy role-playing game. Naturally, Citadel made a lot of figures for Warhammer, but they also made official licensed miniatures for other games from other publishers. This might become relevant here in a minute. So on page 34 of the 1984 Citadel Compendium, we see a collection of 10 different Chaos Beastmen described in the text as strange and abhuman chaotic beasts, unfortunates favored by the biological whims of their divine masters. These figures include such zoological curiosities as the Ostrich Man, Seahorse Man, Walrus Man, Eagle Man, Wolf Man, and Camel Man. Also, Citadel hadn't quite mastered the art of miniature catalog photography yet, which is why the first couple of compendiums relied heavily on line drawings to illustrate the figures. One other thing to note here, there are no goat-horned cloven hoof beastmen in this group, which I thought was a bit curious until I flipped to page 39, where we find a collection of Chaos Brew, which were official 25mm miniatures designed for the RuneQuest role-playing game. And apparently these were not available in the US when the 1984 Compendium was published. So this is just a wild guess, but perhaps Citadel needed or wanted some distinction between the predominantly goat-hooved RuneQuest figs and its own line of Warhammer Beastmen, which didn't have any goats at all, at least in this illustration. However, by the time the 1985 Citadel Companion was published, goat Beastman figs were back in the Warhammer universe, if they'd ever left, along with some piggy beast folk. These minis were designed by Kev Adams and had cool manimal names like Swalfog, Gizzlegig, Bullbone, and Hardhoof, but these weren't the only Beastmen represented in the 1985 Citadel Miniatures line. In the autumn 1985 Citadel Journal, which was a separate Citadel magazine, published 2 or 3 times a year, we see a different line of Chaos Beastmen, this time designed by Trish Morrison. These beast folk include Turtle Man, Tiger Man, perhaps a new Camel Man, along with Hog Man, Slime Arm, Two Head, Carrion Man, Cloven Hoof, and the club-wielding Kiss of Death. So there are definitely a couple of goat horn fellows in this menagerie, as well as other representatives of the animal kingdom, and a couple of straight-up mutants. In 1987, Games Workshop published Warhammer Fantasy 3rd Edition. The 3rd Edition rulebook describes Beastmen as the descendants of creatures that were corrupted and mutated by warpstone dust during the original incursions of Chaos. Some Beastman forms are less stable than others, it says, giving rise to fresh mutations every generation. The book also says that Beastmen will adopt and raise mutated human children they find abandoned in the forest, so that's nice. Beast folk have also been known to engage in romantic liaisons with chaos-curious humans during unspeakable midnight rituals. So yeah, apparently Beastmen are both compassionate foster parents, and they like to party. 1988's Realm of Chaos Slaves to Darkness supplement introduces the Beastmen of Khorne and Slaanesh to the Warhammer universe. As you would expect, Khorne's Beastmen are bloodthirsty to the extreme, while the Beastmen of Slaanesh are infamous for other battlefield depravities, and the less said about that, the better. Here's the 1988 Citadel Miniatures Catalog Part 1, which features 3 full pages of Beastmen, that's quite a range, now designated as Realm of Chaos figures. This first page of figures was designed by renowned sculptors Kevin Adams, Trish Morrison, and Michael and Alan Perry. Figure number 01 is our old friend Slimearm. He made an appearance back in the '85 Citadel Journal, if you remember. 05 appears to be a Warthog Man, one of several on the page. There's also quite a few Beastmen with goat horns or pig snouts. Those must be pretty common mutations. There is the hilarious and deadly Carrion Man at number 12, and number 13 is our old friend Two-Head. The second page of figures were designed by Jess Goodwin, Kevin Adams, and Mark Copplestone. I recognize 06, 07, and 22, as many as I have. Figures number 10 and 11 appear to be some type of lizardman. Then there's a Dogman, a variety of Goatmen, and number 20 appears to be a teeny tiny Rhino Man, which I also have. The third page of Beastmen were designed by Kevin Adams, Trish Morrison, and Michael and Alan Perry. I see some of the old wonderfully wacky sculpts here that are probably on the verge of being phased out by this point. There's a Snake Man at number 8, number 10 appears to be an Owl Man, and who knows what number 11 is. And let's not forget about the wise but slow Turtle Man down there on the lower right. Fight on, you crazy terrapin. By the time the 1991 Citadel Miniatures Catalog Section 2 rolled around, the Beastman collection seemed to be standardizing somewhat, with some figures sculpted specifically for the Realm of Chaos factions, and most, if not all, of the early exotic specimens going extinct. Khorne-specific Beastmen, for example, often had a canine appearance, though there appears to be some kind of a Yeti-type Beastman in the top row center there. There were also plenty of non-faction-specific generic Goatmen to fill out the ranks. Slaanesh had a few Crabclaw Beastmen just for variety, as well as some faction-specific Goatmen. These were distinct from the more generic Goatmen below them, though once those were painted in faction colors, they'd probably blend right in. Not represented, however, are the beloved Turtle Man, Camel Man, Hog Man, Carrion Man, and Kiss of Death, and their companions. Fare thee well, you crazy zoological atrocities. The forbidden midnight rituals just won't be the same without you. Unfortunately, I don't have any of those specific early Beastman pioneers, but I do have some other early sculpts, such as this compact Rhino Man here, so let's meet a few of them. I believe this is a little 25mm Warthog Beastman with an eye patch and scale mail. This guy might have been an early inspiration for the Ungors because he has one human leg, one goat leg, and tiny little horns. So he hasn't gone full manimal yet. He's only about halfway there. So here is a bull beastman with a pretty cool shield. I guess he's probably too small to be considered a minotaur. This beastman here looks like kind of a man-goat-wolf hybrid because he has horns, cloven hooves, and big sharp teeth. People seem to really dig this old Khorne bulldog man here. We get quite a few comments about him. Here's a traditional goat-hooved beastman, and just for comparison, there's our old friend William H. Goat, who, as you can see, is quite a bit larger. Here is an older but not ancient dog beastman, and a Realm of Chaos Khorne beastman, who was probably released just a little bit later, because he's just a little bit bigger. Here's a herd of early Citadel Goatmen. I wonder if any of these were part of the RuneQuest line from years ago. And then there's these two knuckleheads here. My first thought was maybe they're Yeti or perhaps Sheepmen. If you have any wild theories, please share them in the comment section below. Okay folks, that is our quick look at some classic Citadel Beastmen from the 1980s and beyond. We'll be back shortly with some more tabletop wargaming madness, but until then, take care of yourselves. Try to sneak in a game if you can, and we'll catch you next time.